Evening and welcome to the July 24th, 2025 meeting of the Yorktown Zoning Board of Appeals. My name is John Meisterich. I chair the board. With me tonight, Anthony Tripodi, Bill Gregory, Bob Fahey, our legal attorney, Katie Kraholik, and building inspector Steve Frayetta is over there at the table as well. So our first order of business is to set up next month's meeting. Well, first is to approve the minutes from last month's meeting. I sent out a copy of the June minutes for everyone's review. Any changes or additions? I think we got everything.
No, I think so.
So I'll make a motion to approve the June minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So now we also need to set up next meeting, which is September 11th. Just note the dates. They're typically the third Thursday, but we don't have a meeting in August, so we move September's in a little bit early. If we so if you're here under new business, generally we're going to have a public hearing on September 11th for your application. If I set this down for a site visit, we try to go as a group on September 6th in the morning. That's a Saturday before the meeting, maybe starting around 9:30 in the southern end of town. Given that it's semi-holiday week, we may not all be together, and I would say we might individually just do drive-bys on the properties in a case like that. So either September 6th or a drive-by. If you do have a public hearing open tonight for September, you need to send out certificate of mailings notifying your neighbors between August 18th and August 27th. You get your list from the assessor's office of who you need to mail notifications to. In addition to the notifications, you need to put a sign on your property that you can get from the building department downstairs. A picture of the sign and an affidavit saying the sign was posted. Eventually, once you do the certificate of mailing, you also turn in a copy of the notice that you mailed to your neighbors and a copy of the from the post office, the postmark sheet that shows you've done the mailings. Okay, so we are going to move on to our agenda. And bear with me, I'm trying to do the computer part tonight too, so I may be a little slow. So under new business here, we have Raguso, 2366 Granville Court. This is an application to construct an addition that requires a variance for combined, I'm going to just change the wording slightly, combined side yard setback of 28.1 feet where 40 feet is required. If someone's here under that application, you can step up to the podium, but so it's 28.1 feet where 40 is required for combined side yard setback, and an above-ground pool with a side yard of 8.3 feet where 15 feet is required per section 300-21 of the town zoning code. So no one here under this application. I'll make a motion to refer this to the building department, set it down for a site visit on September 6th, a public hearing on September 11th. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Bartolini, 2145 Hunter Brook Road. Is anyone here under that application? So this is an application for an appeal of a stop work order and notice of violation issued by the building department. Nobody here on this? Okay, so I reviewed what was put into the Dropbox. Let's see my notes. This is Bartolini, is that you?
No, I'm Pied Piper.
Okay. So basically, as far as I understand it, and Steve may have more background on this because obviously there's been something happening on this property that had nothing to do with the zoning board. The applicant is here for an interpretation as to, I read through what his request was, it seems to be an interpretation as to whether that his use at 2145 Hunter Brook is permitted as use, as a farm use under section 300-21 and 300-3, which defines what a farm is. And if so, whether or not a special use permit is required for a retail sales space per section 300-65. So you guys agree with that's basically what we're trying to figure out. So, again, no one's here under the application. I'm going to make a motion to set this down for a site visit on September 6th and/or individually by the zoning board members, a public hearing on September 11th, and I have a few referrals on this, and if anyone has any other thoughts, let me know. But I'd like to refer this to our legal team. Just for a background, there's a court case referenced in the documents, and as well as basically, you know,
An
legal
interpretation.
interpretation of
Yeah.
whether
Yes.
you agree that these uses are appropriate for the zone, I guess. So the building department, and I don't know if I have to refer to code enforcement separately, but obviously a background memo, Steve, on what this is.
And also any other ordinances or permits that may be required for something like this.
Right, because normally there's a building permit, and that kind of takes care of every other permit. So here we don't necessarily have one if there's no building, so do we need a tree permit, wetlands, all that? Any interpretations and violations on the property, you could pull that together, would be great. So I don't know if we should refer to Conservation Board to see,
Wouldn't hurt.
Sure, you
you
can.
know, just a general opinion, and
Yeah.
then if there's DEC regulations or Department of Agriculture permits and things that we not really get into too much. All right, so I'll make a motion, I'm sorry I started that motion already, but a site visit on September 6th with possibly individual site visits if schedule permitting, a public hearing on September 11th, and the referrals to legal, building, and the Conservation Board, as I just noted. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So now we are on Chang is a renewal for a special use permit at 1480 Inspiration Road for a renewal of an accessory apartment. I'll make a motion to refer this to the building department and handle this administratively. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Deneen Carey, 2090 Crampon Road, there's two of them. You can probably talk to both of them at the same time. One is an application for a renewal of a special use permit to allow children's daycare center, and a application to allow a second application to allow a sign in front of the building in a residential area for a daycare center per 300-21 of the town zoning code. Okay, so on the renewal, I'll just kind of handle this separately, but has there been any changes since the last period?
No, we renovated the building
A long time?
2-3 years ago.
Remember
We just renovated the front playground area recently, but that would be the only change since
I
the
mean,
big
normally
development.
we would not do a site visit on a renewal, however, we're probably gonna do one with the sign anyway, so.
Is the sign gonna be on the building, or is it gonna be on the street?
So originally, the sign that was approved, I believe in 2006, was close to the road. It was on a post.
Right.
That we'd had to replace a few times. It just gets kind of beat up, and the salt eats away at the post and stuff. So we had an application last year that you guys approved for a sign on the side of our building. We would just like to take that same exact sign and just put it on the front of the building, so we don't have to worry about as much, being by the road.
So if we gave approval to do that, we have to do another.
So it's literally the same sign or the same
It's exactly the same sign. I think they made it
on the side and having the front?
yeah, we had to come.
Two signs.
Yeah, so the one on the side, we had to come because we're residentially zoned, so we had to come anyway.
So it's,
We really like the sign, and it would look nice on the front. We're not trying to put a sign on the road like we had. We're just gonna try to put it on the front of the building.
Can you move the sign from the side of the building to the front and satisfy everybody?
Well, they enter from the side.
Yeah, they enter from the side.
front is just
The
so
main
they know
entrance of
where
the
we
building is
are.
where the sign is now.
Because I've never seen the sign. I pass every day.
So that's why we kind of found funny. We had to
That's why we need one.
Well,
come
like I say,
in.
at the front of
Yeah,
the building, if it's
yeah.
the same sign, put it in the front
Yeah.
and everybody's happy. But
yeah. I mean, it looks really nice because we have kind of the archways and stuff there, and that's the main entrance. So it's nice that it's there.
Alright.
We would just kind of like to put one on the front too.
I'll take a look.
Okay, so on the renewal of the special use permit, I will make a motion to refer this to the building department and set it down for a site visit on September 6th and a public hearing on September 11th. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
aye.
On the sign, I will do the same, make a motion to refer to the building department, set it down
Huh?
for a site
Have to do a
visit.
Baca.
Abaca.
Oh, ABACA, yes. Set it, refer to ABACA, the building department. Set it down for a site visit on September 6th and a public hearing on September 11th. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We don't have to do anything with fire department or anything like that as far as
No,
for
the
their
fire-
inspection. That's all addressed by
The
building?
The building inspector will take care of the fire marshal.
Okay, all right. Just
And
double check.
since we're really looking for the sign at this point and it's semi-easy for us to access, you don't really have to worry about being there on that Saturday if it's inconvenient, okay?
Okay.
You know,
That works for us. Thank
we can probably figure it out.
Sure,
just
you guys
by
can figure out. where-
pulling into the
It's
parking
one way,
lot.
just be careful.
Okay. So
Good?
you're set for
Okay,
next
perfect.
month.
Thank you.
Just remember the sign on the property.
Yes, we'll,
and,
yeah.
all that
Sorry,
business.
we do this every 3
Yeah, I get it.
Cool.
Okay, Pervisi,
Should be interesting.
3666 Old Yorktown Road. This is an application for a building permit to construct a Tier 2 battery storage system that requires a use variance. Tier 2 battery storage systems are a non-permitted use per section 300-81.5 of the town zoning code. Anyone here on that? I suppose you are. Can you state your name for the record and give us a brief background?
Sure. Hi, nice to see you all. My name is Doug Warden. I'm a partner in the Tarrytown Law Firm of Snyder and Snyder here on behalf of Rick Energy in connection with their efforts to locate a battery energy storage system at 3666 Old Yorktown Road. This application was first filed April 11th, 2024. In May, the town went into moratorium in May of 2025. The code was revised to forbid battery energy storage systems as a specially permitted use or as a anyway permitted use within the borders of the town. And so we're just here to avail ourselves of our remaining remedy, which is to respectfully request a use variance. And so we'd respectfully request that the board set us down for a public hearing so that we can come in and show the public and the board why we believe we're entitled to that use variance under the applicable standards.
Okay, so we're basically set to do that here, set it for the public hearing.
I'd like to refer this to the town board. I'd like to refer it to the town attorney. I'd like some input as to how we tend to proceed since there is a ban in effect against this type of application. And I would like to see some input as to some guidance as to how we are to proceed. This is a bit of a Pandora's box, and I think a lot of people are going to come out on this, and I'd really like to have our ducks in a row before we proceed. So I would like to make that referral.
Okay. So basically, one of the items that I reviewed in the application was that there's this public utility use variance standard, and that's not something that I've come across. So, as Bob was kind of alluding to, I'm going to make a motion here to set this down for a,
We're gonna set it down for
So-
public hearing.
do we need a site visit?
We can do a site visit.
Alright,
I would
so-
suggest that we do one.
So I'll set it down for a site visit on September 6th or individual, as I was alluding to, a public hearing on September 11th. The referrals will be as follows. The building department,
Oh, yeah, go ahead,
we always do that.
continue.
legal. Again, the background of this interpretation, we basically want to do an interpretation, say, first to see that it meets the standard, and then the variance, right? Like they're,
Well,
I wouldn't say separate, but
what we're thinking of doing, quite frankly, is bifurcating the application. You're asking for a use variance, and I know that there's a lot of information that you've submitted in terms of the actual physical presence of the facility, how you're gonna put it together, some of the reports from various agencies. But before we even get into that, we're going to look at basically what you're asking for in terms of a use variance, which, as we know, is very difficult to get. You're basically indicating in your documentation that there is a different set of standards for utility as opposed to a regular use variance applicant. So what we're asking the town attorney to do is basically to look at what you're saying and advise us in terms of what he sees as the legal parameters for this particular application. We're going to probably also send it to the town board. We're also going to probably send it to the planning board. And with that in mind, again, before we get into looking or dealing with the approval of the nuts and bolts of this thing, we're going to essentially find out whether or not a use variance is a vehicle that we can use in order to grant an approval.
Okay, look, it's important that you feel like you're duly supported by your legal experts, et
Right.
cetera.
yeah.
I would just say one thing, and I think we're on the same page here. I think there was some talk earlier about having the town attorney tell you if we meet the standard, this public utility standard. I think that's your job, but I think the town attorney can tell you,
Yeah.
hey, this is the applicable standard, and we think he'll agree with us.
That's
or
what we
he or
that's what
she.
we need.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
and then you decide if we meet.
we understand that our role here.
Yeah.
It's just that what we're going to do is be asking for legal advice in terms of how we get there. And I think that's basically where we both want to go with this, Judge.
Yeah, we want you to be informed.
So I think, is there any other agency that you want to refer it to at this juncture?
Want to look at conservation?
Well, again, before we even get into that, and I think what we're going to be obviously referring it to, if we get to that point,
Yeah, maybe we can hold off on the-
is we're going to be asking
Well-
additional agencies.
Is there a question of whether this even qualifies, the site even qualifies as a spot to put it? Does DEC, I mean, I know there are some very strong restrictions as to where they would want to
We,
locate this.
we,
We can't refer it to them?
no, we can refer it to them. I'm just wondering whether or not it's the time to do it now,
Okay, all right.
okay?
I mean, the other thing to keep in mind is we don't approve this special permit on this, right? So in other
Well,
words-
actually,
It's a little confusing.
before the town board changed the ordinance, and basically the planning board was the agency that essentially improved the site plan for these types of things. So obviously, one of the things, again, after we get past this initial issue, is we're probably going to depend on the planning board to get into the nuts and bolts of the site plan, if we get that far.
Right.
So, first thing we're gonna do, I hope, is to move on the issue of the use variance.
Two things. This all sounds good. I think we're moving in the right direction. One, Mr. Chairman, I believe you might have mentioned, this board approving the special use permit. This would just not be a specially permitted use. It would be a use variance,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's where I need a little help in terms of, so if we're approving or deliberating a variance, are we then, like even here, what it says on the agenda is it's an application for a building permit to construct. Now, I don't even know if those are your words or our office's words, but it's like, we're not granting generally not granting a building permit, we're granting a variance. And I think in the event that we did, this is just completely hypothetically, I think we would like to revert to our usual
Well,
and customary practices after that, not have us attempt to
The
manage
actual,
every
the,
little
I-
detail of
the
the
actual
project.
site, the actual site plan review will be done in conjunction with the other agencies.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think
Yeah.
this board would grant a use variance,
And
and
it would
then
be subject
if this
to-
board
yeah.
grants a use variance,
Right.
and then the code requires that you have to go to the planning board to
Right.
go get site plan review. So that would be separate. It's not like they would do site plan review beforehand.
Right.
You would do use variance. Hey, is this thing even allowed in the town?
That's basically
And
what
then
we're
hopefully, knock on wood, you'll say it is permitted, and then you'll send it off to the planning board, and they'll decide if they want to grant site plan approval. Does that sound?
It sounds.
that about right?
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
about right. Thank you.
All right. And then lastly, the town boards, you just want to refer to them for a recommendation. Is that-
Correct.
Just a background memo.
Since they passed the ban on building, on construction of these type of sites, I feel that they should be directly involved in, if they have input, or if they have additional information that they want to provide to us as to how this application applies to their ban, that's what I want to hear about.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, the way it applies is it's a variance from their ban.
Right, but what were the factors that they were considering in banning these? So just background for us in terms of variance deliberation.
It sounds great. So we're on first
Yeah, so
public
I'll
hearing?
make a motion to do a site visit on September 6th, a public hearing on September 11th, refer to the building, legal, the planning board, and the town board. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So September 6th, I don't know how accessible the site is. I don't know.
I think it's pretty
It's pretty
accessible.
easy,
Yeah.
Whether someone has to be there or
right up,
not.
I
I
think.
mean, like I said, it's a little,
You can advise the property owner that there may be somebody showing up.
Okay, so nobody
the
shows
6th
up
in
with a
the morning.
shotgun looking for, looking to send you
Exactly,
away.
exactly so.
Duly noted, okay.
and then
All right,
September 11th.
yeah, great. Thanks all for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes,
If
sir.
they're gonna lay this out as to where this is gonna be, can they stake it for us? Because the property is pretty extensive. I think it's what, 5-6 acres in there? And there's a pond on the
Yeah, the
property?
property's 4.4 acres.
Okay, and it's next to the substation that's on, was it 132 there?
I'm not that familiar with it, but I do know that these applications typically go in close proximity to
Okay,
substations.
so it's gonna be near the pond and the stream that's in that part of the property.
You may want to ask them to at least generally lay out where this thing is
So
going to be.
stake it out.
Stay if you can.
Okay,
if you
I'll
can.
pass that along.
Thanks.
Okay.
Okay, I think we're good, right? All right, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, everybody. Have a nice night.
Thank you.
Adjourned agenda, Majoriale is still adjourned, I assume. No one here. Pan Bar, anyone here on Pan Bar? Don't see the applicant at least, but I think we have some members of the public. Let me just remind everyone what this is. It's an application at 3301 and 3307 Lookout Street to combine two lots to create one single lot that will require variance for total amount of lot area of 10,000 square feet where 20 is required. 20,000 is required.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to have to recuse myself on this application.
Okay, so, I'll call you up in 1 second here, but we had asked the applicant for a set of plans and a stormwater mitigation plan. I think there might be some new memos in your file.
No, there's no new member.
We've got the building plans,
Do you
but we
have
don't
the,
have the
new
water mitigation
memos?
plans.
I don't have, yeah, I don't have
There's nothing on water mitigation.
building plans.
All right. Sorry. Bear with me, so, anyway, I was looking for some letters that you sent here, and I have them, but if you'd like to come up and, just summarize your, yeah. Yeah.
You got the one memo? There it is.
I could read your memo too. let me
This
read it
is
first.
a little bit different.
Yeah, I normally read any memos that we
Okay,
have,
thanks.
so you can then,
Sure.
piggyback on your comments here. So I do have a memo from Laszlo Kovac.
Yes.
Sorry for the redundancy, but I want to make sure, since this case was closed at some point, then reopened, that all our opposition is recorded in the newly reopened file also. I am not alone with my opposition, as you already know, since we have presented a petition from this neighborhood signed by 15 people. We are opposed to this new building lot on Hollywood Street for a multitude of previously stated reasons. I want to stress it again, we cannot see any hardship presented by the applicant. He has no means to connect to the sewer system as a question, no other means to connect to the sewer system that would require a deviation of the zoning ordinance by 50%. There is no reason for the ZBA to go against increasing nonconformity in this area where there is plenty of it already. With respect, Laszlo Kovac. Postscript to this is please examine the photos of quote, maybe 2 trees on the property as described by Mr. Pani. By the way, it seems there is no sign on the properties to show there is a variance procedure in place. Just a quick comment is we closed and reserved but reopened the hearing, so the record from all the original hearing is all part of it. Regarding the sign, I guess Steve should inform the applicant about that. I would say that the sign issue on a long, many-month adjourned hearing, someone could have taken it. We did have a sign on there when we opened the hearing, so I don't see that as a major showstopper. So anyway, those 2 things. So why don't you come up and give me your...
Hi, so I'm Laszlo Kovacs, and I understand that this case was referred to the planning board back in January, and as a result of that, there was an inter-office memo created. I'd like to read a couple of sentences of that.
Sure.
So,
Just
while it is recognized that the 2 developed lots were both existing 10,000 square feet, they both have distinct abutting 5,000 square feet lots, which could have and possibly should have been combined to be less non-conforming developments. The requested variance, therefore, appears to this board to have the effect of increasing the non-conformity of the 2 existing houses and creating a new developed non-conforming lot where there was no ability to develop prior. Excuse me. The question, therefore, is whether it's desirable to permit development of the zoning district at a density that is contrary to its expected developed density under the zone's current requirements. If so, and if the zoning district's infrastructure characteristics and neighborhood characteristics support density at a 10,000 square feet zoning variances. Further, if infrastructure alone is determinative, then other neighborhoods may expect such opportunity even though set in an R120 zone or an R140 zone. The board feels there are longer-term considerations regarding the appropriate and orderly development of this neighborhood and the town. So we agree with this very much, obviously, and respectfully ask the board to adhere with the zoning ordinance current. And if the board feels that it should be zoned back to the original 10,000 square feet, why not let the planning board mitigate the underlying facts. So we ask you respectfully to deny it.
All right, thank you for your input.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So in addition, I have a plan here, and I'm going to try to show it. This was submitted by the applicant, who I don't believe is here tonight. And as I was reviewing the plan, trying to show it here on the screen, I noticed that, you know, the way this plan is drawn, the topography doesn't really match that street, Hollywood. What I recall is that the properties that we're looking at, they go kind of from Hollywood and rise up. And this right elevation, you see the topography is actually going down. So I then looked at this title block, and it says 3081 or 3084 Uncas Street. So I don't have the applicant here to explain it, but either he sent the wrong plan, or he's trying to say this is kind of the house we might build there, and you know, I just don't know. But this is what we have in the record. And again, I would have trouble making a decision, because what I'm very concerned about or curious about, you know, on this one is the character of the neighborhood, and whether this house appears larger, higher, taller, you know, because the zoning would permit it to go up 35 feet, which would be very high, and would not look in character of the neighborhood. So I need a more accurate kind of depiction of what the plan is with respect to the topography, at least for one. And I do know that we asked for stormwater mitigation plans. You know, I don't know if that's kind of an undue burden on the applicant, because they're looking for a variance, and they don't necessarily want to create an entire building permit approval package if they don't even know they can build, you know, spend money on the engineers, the architects, and all this. So, you know, I would say we will request it again, and hopefully we'll get it. You know, a better plan and a stormwater mitigation. I would say if I don't have a stormwater mitigation, I feel I could solve that with a subject to type of thing, but that's just putting ourselves ahead of the game here, because we're not even there.
So let's adjourn.
Yeah, so I'll make a motion to adjourn Pan Bar until the September meeting. Oh, I'm sorry, I should have asked for more comments. I apologize.
Yes, my name is Henry Obligado, and I just want to remind you about the problems of a runoff. Our house is below the property in question, and so we get a lot of runoff already from all sides, and from the hill that's directly across the street from us. And you know, the runoff comes through through the top of the street and underground, and raising the water level, the water table level under our house. So it's to build a house there. It means they're going to have to be cutting trees. And by the way, the developer before said that there were only a couple of trees. There are many more trees there, and to cut that and to cut all of the shrubbery is going to cause more runoff into our home, into our property. So I think also maybe you should be able to provide us with stormwater management plan so our geologist engineer could review it. Because
So we did request it, and as I
I
was
would
just
require
saying
it.
that,
I would require it, not a contingency, not anything else. This is an important factor for the neighborhood, and I think he's been a little bit flip. We've asked for this like 3 times now, hasn't shown up, we haven't gotten it. At what point do we expect it? I would require that that be part of the consideration that be done, that he does submit it, not on a consideration after the fact. Do it now, so we can all see what's going on. That's just my opinion.
thank you.
you're welcome. Thank you for your comments. Any other comments from the audience on this application?
Hi, I'm Kathy Chang. These are my neighbors. They've been living here for decades, paying taxes to this town, and obviously they're very concerned, especially concerning the runoff of the water. Now, this applicant hasn't had the decency to show up, hasn't submitted adequate plans. I just want to know, how many times are we going to have to meet and go through this before hopefully the permit won't be granted?
Well, your opposition and the general opposition with the stormwater, the character of the neighborhood, it's noted by us. So I wouldn't tell you what to do, but if you feel that the same comments don't need to be made month after month, because we have that in our record, we have that in our deliberation and so forth. And I appreciate your persistence to come every time to really show, how important it is. But from a technical point of view, we have the input at this point. What you're alluding to month after month, a lot of it has to do with us. We've asked for we first wanted to make an interpretation as to whether the lots were deemed merged by the way they were owned. And meaning that the 2 lots in question merged with the lots up on, how do you
Lookout.
explain it? Which street is that?
Okay?
Yeah, Lookout. So whether Hollywood was merged with Lookout and Hollywood was merged with Lookout. So we ended up researching that and reopening the hearing. So some of the quote-unquote month after month has to do with our actions. We did finally reopen the hearing last month and then requested detailed building plans and stormwater mitigation. So we have like a 25% performance on that request right now because this plan doesn't really look like correct to me and we don't have stormwater. Will we provide, infinite time? No, but we have an obligation to let them continue to provide information for another month at least.
Another month?
And then we'll adjourn it and see what happens in September.
Yeah, because if he doesn't have the integrity to show up for these meetings, what kind of integrity is he going to have by building the correct
If we approve of it, the building department will enforce what we approve. So if so be assured that what we're saying has to be done will be done. He's not gonna be able to proceed in a different manner after he leaves here. We'll address those issues, but we wanna make sure before he even breaks ground or before we do it, that he complies with what we're looking to have done. We wanna make sure it's right for people. We're not just gonna say, go ahead and do
my neighbors
it.
to get hurt. They're wonderful people, and they've been here for years and years
We
and
understand,
years.
we understand that. We understand that. It's not an easy decision, and we wanna do the right thing for everybody that's involved.
And it's just upsetting that they don't have the courtesy to even show up for these meetings.
Can't imagine what's going on, but that happens sometimes, but we'll send a car for him and
Excuses.
take care of him.
It just shows he doesn't really care about
Hmm.
these people. Anyways, well, thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. So I will make a motion, unless there's other comments, to adjourn Pan Bar until the September 11th meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. This can go back in the record. Okay, so we are now at.
We got
A
left.
little bit of moments to get the room back in order. Thank you. Have a good night.
What do we
Reyes is adjourned, I suppose, and now we are.
Public hearing.
Yeah, tonight's new public hearings. The first one is a renewal anyone here on Beeble? No, so we'll handle that at the end. Boogny? Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. 447 Waverly Road. This is an application to allow a 8-foot deer fence in the rear of the property where 6 feet 6 inches height is allowed per section 300-13F of the town zoning code. Okay, so if you're here on that, why don't you come on up and we'll see what we got.
This is Beeble.
It's
Yeah, you gave me,
he's gonna pronounce it for me. Go ahead.
Uni.
Buni.
gave me Beeble.
Okay, I screwed that up bad. I'm
I
sorry.
get it all the time.
Uni. Okay. So, why don't you just state your name again and tell us.
My name
what
is
you're
Chase Buney. I'm the owner at 447 Waverly Road. And we have regular deer transit through the backyard. It's kind of semi-forested still. So I thought I'd try putting in a deer fence kind of along the back of the property line and then kind of coming up about 50 feet to see if I can reduce that. We're also kind of struggling with the obvious tick problem in the area. I bought a kit that ended up being taller than the standard here in town. And I wanted to make sure also that in terms of deer, they are known to jump pretty high. 6.5 feet would probably cover it. But if I'm gonna do it myself, do the work myself. So if I'm gonna put the hours in and the sweat, I want to do it right just to make sure they're not.
The 8-foot fence will
Getting over the
definitely get
top.
you where you want to go.
So-
And if they can't see what's on the other side, they're not likely to try and jump.
Yeah.
So I have a picture of what the fence is, I suppose, right?
Yeah, there's some here.
And just as you were talking, it shows it a little bit, but here's kind of the tax map basically, and the highlighted area.
Yeah.
So just out of curiosity, why only back there? What's blocking the deer on the rest of the property?
So you can see where the house is located, and we have it grassed most to the rest of the property. So what they like about that particular area is that it's wooded and kind of a protected area, and it's kind of rougher back there. So it seems like they avoid the yard. They kind of go down the edges of the property and then back into there. And the way I have it, we had it professionally, the property staked so that I know exactly where the property line is. I came in a little bit for the neighbors because their backyards are nice. So it should be a pretty invisible deer fence to all parties involved.
Okay. So
Are you gonna
No.
electrify it?
I'd like to.
Yeah, you're only coming 50 feet from the back property line,
Yes, that's
Okay.
what
and you're trying to block off that passage that they're now following.
yeah.
Yeah, because they might just come right around the fence.
That's what
But
I'm,
if that's the
I-
case,
I
they'll
may
s-
have to address that later down the road.
Okay.
I was kind of joking to my wife that I may be setting up a sanctuary for them, but we'll see what happens.
The
Gotta
trick,
start
the trick,
somewhere.
the trick
Well,
is to keep
yeah.
the does off the property, and then you'll be fine.
Gotta keep the buck off.
the reason that I'm bringing this
It's a
up
scent trail.
is, I think what I'm looking at in this picture, the fence and the area that it's in is pretty benign. Whether that could continue more, I'm not sure, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
just keep that in mind.
Yeah. If I were to want to continue it, would it be acceptable to bring the height down and
Yeah,
continue?
6 feet
Okay.
would be fine,
Okay.
till you get to the,
Back of the house.
even the side, are we allowed 6?
It might come up the
The
driveway.
inside too.
So
Just in case
you
the
can
whole
do
property.
you can do 6 without us.
Okay.
Building permit, that's a different story.
The
but
6 is effective too. The 6 is it's not a bad idea.
Yes,
Well, if you get alongside the house, doesn't it drop down to 4?
I
Well,
think they changed
They
it.
changed it,
Changed
they
it.
changed it to side 6, front 4.
Front 4, okay.
Steve, did you give us a memo on this?
There is a memo.
I did.
Oh, good. Did you say that you don't agree with it? I gotta find that memo, but.
I have no objections.
Yeah, all right. Steve's memo indicates no objections to the project.
no objections.
So just looking at the location, is there anyone, you don't have any comments on this, No one in the audience has any. Just looking at the location and looking at the design of the fence being black, kind of mesh, that seems to blend nicely to a wooded area. I don't see any objections to granting this variance. Does anyone feel differently?
No, it's a good idea.
Okay, so I will make a motion to grant the application to allow an 8-foot deer fence at 447 Waverly Road in the rear of the property where 6 feet 6 inches is required, with the stipulation that it applies to the plan that was submitted and not the rest of the property line. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
The other thing you can do too, if you get deer repellents like Bobex or liquid fence,
I haven't tried that yet. I hear it
it's
smells pretty bad, but I
only
may
for a
look
short
into that.
term, only for for a little bit. But their sense of smell is so much keener than ours
Yeah.
that they remember it.
You know, it might be worth trying.
You
'cause
do it
then
in the
once they
front.
get
Do it in the front of the
idea,
property so
may
they don't
think
come down in the
it's
fence. It
not
works
worth
for
their-
me.
their
I've got
effort.
stock in the company. I think at this point, that's what I use, and it's very effective. It really is good.
Excellent.
Okay, thank you. So
Thank
your
you.
variance is approved.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Okay, Diaz, 1465 Hiawatha. All right, this is a short one for me to read. It's an application to do 4 things. 1, legalize an existing shed in the rear with a setback of 1 foot from the side lot line and a setback of 2 feet from the rear lot line where 10 is required for both. Secondly, to legalize an existing gazebo located in the rear yard with a setback of 2 feet from the side lot line and 2 1/2 feet from the rear lot line where 10 feet is required. The third thing is to legalize an existing deck in the rear yard with a setback of 9 feet where 10 feet is required. We had that one wrong. And to construct a new balcony with a resulting side yard setback of 9 feet where 12 feet is required and a side yard combination, combined side yard of 21 feet where 24 is required. Can you state
Good
your name
evening.
for the record, please? Thank you.
Do I have to face the audience?
I don't think you're going to have any public comments, but that's just a guess.
Might be a good guess. It's Joel Greenberg, the architect for the applicant, and you've stated exactly what the situation is. I know that when we came back for the first variance for the second floor, you actually were out to the site and noticed the situation. And we just, I think if you've been to the site, I know you've been to the site, if you walk back there, you see that it's pretty well screened back there, so that we've obviously had to notify quite a few neighbors, and I don't believe any, my client has indicated that none of the neighbors have commented or opposed it. In fact, a few of the neighbors said, we're happy to
How
approve it.
big a lot is this? Is this a quarter-acre lot? How big is this lot?
100 by...
It's 100 by 60, 6,000 square feet.
6,000 square feet. So he hasn't maxed out on all this stuff that he's got on the property. Has he maxed out yet?
Is there more? You
I
can
mean,
go-
I don't.
No,
We've
there's
got
no
a
more, no,
we got a
no.
gazebo. We got a shed. We got decks all over. I mean, how much stuff can this guy put on the
Tough.
property?
I mean, it's
No, the deck is on the second floor.
Oh,
so-
wow, I thought it was going out another side. It's like, okay, let's pave everything, you know?
well, I mean, there is a little bit of a good point that you're making. Now, 3 of these things that we're talking about are existing. So if you look at this picture, existing shed, existing gazebo, and existing deck. So I guess how that's germane is, like, does it change the character of the neighborhood if these things are already there? How long have they been there, type of thing. So, I mean,
Thank you. Let's go.
any thoughts?
Yeah.
I
So
just
you
have
got
a
the balcony.
question.
Now the balcony, are there footings all the way to the ground on
No,
that?
no,
Just
they're all
a
cantilevered.
cantilever?
And let me explain the reason for the balcony. If you've been to the property and you look down, I guess in this case toward the east, the view is absolutely magnificent. You can see mountains from far, far away, and that's the reason. And that second floor, that's where the master bedroom is going to be. So that's the purpose of the balcony.
Is this septic or a sewer hookup?
What's that?
Is this a septic or a sewer hookup?
Septic.
Septic.
Septic, okay.
Okay, so I
But
do,
it's town water and individual septics.
Okay, thank you.
I do have a memo from Steve here. And it basically repeats the variances that were requested and no objections on the part of the building department to grant the variance. A building permit and certificate of occupancy will be required. Okay, so any other comments? I mean, I guess I will make a motion to grant the application to legalize the existing shed in the rear yard with a setback of 1 feet from the side lot line and setback of 2 feet from the rear lot line where 10 feet is required. Legalize an existing gazebo in the rear yard with a setback of 2 feet from the side lot line and 2.5 feet from the rear lot line where 10 feet is required. Legalize an existing deck in the rear yard with a setback of 9 feet where 10 feet is required, and construct a new balcony with a resulting side yard setback of 9 feet where 12 feet is required, and a side yard combination of 21 feet where 24 feet is required. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Are you a nay on that?
I'm thinking about that gazebo. I'd like to see that gone, but if there's no objections, obviously there's nobody here. I'll give you I'll say aye.
Okay,
Okay, I'll say it.
it's approved.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And you can say goodnight to the audience.
You can represent the client
can
that's
put-
got the renewal of the accessory apartment if you want.
Which one is that now? It's,
All right, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Enjoy the rest of your summer,
Yes, it is.
Thank
It is.
you.
and we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Have a good.
There you go.
So back to Beeble, which is a renewal of an accessory apartment at 1331 Echo Hill Road. Let's see if there's a memo. I will tell you, Steve, Nazreen puts little colored tabs on the memos, so.
Yeah, you know what, though, but she's been on vacation for
Yeah,
the past 2
well,
weeks.
you couldn't,
I'm sorry.
it's okay. I'm
Sorry.
just gonna make you pay by
gotta
stay,
see- you
I'm
gotta
gonna make
see
you
my
pay
shop.
by staying here longer.
Gotta see what's going on with my
I don't wanna know. They wouldn't pay me enough. Anyway, okay, I have a memo from Steve, application for renewal at 1331 Echo Hill Path, inspected the property, found no violations, no objections to granting the renewal. So I'll make a motion to grant the renewal for the accessory apartment at 1331 Echo Hill Road
3 years.
for a period of 3 years. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Done. Okay, that concludes our agenda for tonight. Good night and happy Labor Day.